Welcome to You Certify CompTIA A+ Must-Know Glossary Terms, Part 3.
Term: jailbreaking. Definition: breaking into the root access of a phone to change settings or portability.
Term: jitter. Definition: the presence of variations of a network's latency, which can cause problems for end users on a network. Term: Kerberos. Definition: an open standard authentication protocol that is used between two clients, or a client and a server, and a third-party Kerberos key distribution server. The clients acquire a Kerberos key and can mutually authenticate across an unsecured network or the Internet.
Term: keychain. Definition: a Mac OS password management system.
Term: keylogger. Definition: a hardware device or software program, often a virus, that can track keystrokes and capture the usernames and passwords of unwitting users. Term: LAN. Definition: local area network, a group of computers and other devices that are usually located in a small area, such as a house, a small office, or a single building. Term: laser printer. Definition: a page printer that stores the entire contents of a page to be printed in its memory before printing it. By contrast, inkjet, thermal, and impact printers print a page as a series of narrow bands.
Term: LDAP. Definition: lightweight directory access protocol, a protocol used to access and maintain distributed directories of information, such as the kind involved with Microsoft domains. LDAP uses port 389.
Term: legacy software and operating systems. Definition: an outdated operating system, programming language, application, or hardware. Term: light-emitting diode, LED, status indicators. Definition: LED lights that technicians use to evaluate a computer's health at a glance. Computers, NICs, switches, routers, and other devices all use LEDs to visually communicate their activity status or problems with communication. Term: lightning. Definition: the proprietary reversible Apple iOS sync/charging USB 2.0 connector and port. It is used on older iOS devices.
Term: Linux. Definition: an open-source operating system derived from the Unix OS.
Term: liquid crystal display, LCD. Definition: a flat panel screen that applies electrical currents to a layer of liquid crystal cells to modulate its optical properties. Term: load balancer. Definition: increases redundancy and performance by distributing the load to multiple servers. Network load balancers are often reverse proxy servers, configured in a cluster to provide scalability and high availability. Term: local users and groups, loosermanager.msc. Definition: the loosermanager.msc command opens the local users and groups manager on Windows 10/11 for user/group configuration. Term: loopback plug. Definition: a plug that routes output to input wires to enable a port to be tested for proper send-receive functions. Loopback plugs are widely available for testing Ethernet ports, as well as legacy COM and LPT ports. Some BIOS/NUEFI and third-party vendors also offer USB loopback plugs. Term: lucent connector, LC. Definition: a square connector type used in fiber optic devices and cables. Term: M2. Definition: a solid-state drive, SSD, that can mount directly onto a motherboard or an expansion card, giving the drive more direct access to the CPU for much faster reading than with an SSD. Term: Mac OS. Definition: the operating system on Apple computers. Term: magnetometers. Definition: another name for a metal detector, common in all airports and many public areas. Term: mail servers. Definition: a server that sends or receives email. Term: malware. Definition: malicious software. Software designed to infiltrate a computer system and possibly damage it without the user's knowledge or consent. Malware is a broad term that includes viruses, worms, Trojan horses, spyware, rootkits, adware, and other types of unwanted software. Term: MAN. Definition: Metropolitan Area Network, a type of network that results when a company has two offices in the same city and makes a high-speed connection between them.
Term: Master boot record. Definition: Partition supported by BIOS/UEFI with boot settings.
Term: Material Safety Data Sheet, MSDS. Definition: Also known as a Safety Data Sheet, SDS. A document that provides information about a particular substance or device, such as the toner in a laser printer's toner cartridge.
Term: MD. Definition: Windows command line tool for making a directory, used for creating folders and subfolders.
Term: Metered connections/metered utilization. Definition: Terms describing cloud services that are priced by the time or capacity used. The client pays only for what is used.
Term: Metered utilization. Definition: A term describing cloud services that are priced by the time or capacity used. The client pays only for what is used.
Term: Micro ATX, MATX. Definition: A smaller version, 24 centimeters by 24 centimeters, of the ATX motherboard, commonly used in mini tower computers.
Term: Microsoft Management Console, MMC, Snap-in. Definition: A blank console that uses various snap-in console windows. The MMC saves the consoles you snap in and remembers the last place you are working, which makes it a valuable time-saving tool.
Term: Microsoft Remote Assistance, MSRA. Definition: The Windows utility for offering or accepting remote assistance. Term: Mini USB. Definition: A Type B USB cable, USB 1. It is used in cameras, phones, and similar devices. Term: Mini USB, Mini Universal Serial Bus. Definition: A device that is half the size of USB-A, common for external storage, cameras, and so on.
Term: Mission control. Definition: A visual setting in macOS that allows for simultaneous viewing of all open apps. Term: Mobile Application Management, MAM. Definition: Software that enables an organization to manage software on devices across its enterprise network.
Term: Mobile Device Management, MDM. Definition: A way to manage the mobile devices within an enterprise. For example, to ensure that all mobile users on the network have updated security files. Term: Modular Power Supply. Definition: A power supply that uses modular connections so that you can customize the power supply connections needed for your hardware. An advantage of such a power supply is that the cables can detach from the power supply. Cable management also is much easier.
Term: Molex. Definition: A 4-pin power connector used for desktop PATA drives and some add-on cards. Molex connectors can be adapted to SATA drives, case fans, and burn connectors used for floppy drive power. Term: mSATA. Definition: A mini PCIe form factor used by some high-performance laptops and desktops. Term: Multicore. A processor with 2 or more cores. Some desktop processors have as many as 8 cores.
Term: Multi-factor authentication. Definition: A security system that uses 2 or more authentication methods and is far more secure than single-factor authentication. An example is a person using a digital code from a fob and typing a username and password to gain access to a system.
Term: Multithreading. Definition: As CPUs developed and added cores, multithreading was developed as a method to allow multiple threads on each core. This works differently from hyperthreading because multithreading breaks each core into logically smaller CPUs to handle more sets of operating instructions, resulting in higher CPU performance.
Term: MV. Definition: A Linux command used to move files to a specified location. Term: Nano. Definition: a command line text editor with keyboard shortcuts and functions for editing files.
Term: Near Field Communication, NFC. Definition: a feature included in many mobile devices, such as tablets, for data transfer and shopping. When NFC is enabled and a suitable payment system, such as Apple Pay or Android Pay, is installed on a mobile device, it can be used for secure payments at any retailer that supports NFC payments.
Term: Net Use. Definition: a Windows command that connects to shared folders. It works similar to the mapping of a network drive. Term: Net User. Definition: a Windows command used to manage user accounts for adding, removing, or changing.
Term: NetBIOS/NetBIOS over TCP/IP, NetBT. Definition: also known as NetBT, RFC 1001. This protocol allows some legacy applications that were developed in the 1980s, before the TCP/IP environment had become the standard, to work on larger networks and the Internet. NetBIOS/NetBT uses ports 137 to 139.
Term: NetStat. Definition: a Windows command that displays a list of active TCP connections on a local network. Term: Network Tap. Definition: a device that is inserted into the network cable and makes an exact duplicate of network traffic, allowing network managers to tap into the data flowing through a network. Term: Network Topology Diagram. Definition: a map of a network that shows how equipment is physically arranged in the building and logically connected as a network. Term: New Technology File System, NTFS. Definition: the native secure file system of Windows 10 and 11, as well as some previous versions. Term: NIC. Definition: Network Interface Card, an interface on a computer or other device that connects to a LAN. Term: Non-Volatile Memory Express, NVMe. Definition: a protocol designed to allow solid-state drives, SSDs, to transfer data between the motherboard and the SSDs at staggeringly high rates.
Term: NSLOOKUP. Definition: a Windows command that gathers a network's domain name system, DNS, information.
Term: On Demand. Definition: a characteristic of cloud computing in which users can purchase access to additional resources as needed. Term: On-Path Attack. Definition: involves the attacker intercepting a connection while fooling the endpoints into thinking that they are communicating directly with each other. Term: Open Source License. Definition: license for software that can be freely accessed, used, changed, and shared in modified or unmodified form by anyone. Term: Optical Drive. Definition: drive that stores data in a continuous spiral of indentations called pits and lands that are burned into the non-label side of a disk from the middle outward to the edge. Optical drives use a laser to read the data. Term: Optical Network Terminal, ONT. Definition: an optical network device similar to a modem in purpose. It connects the end user to the ISP, but because the communication is light pulses instead of electrical signals, no modulating, demodulating takes place. Therefore, an ONT is technically different than a modem. Term: Organic LED, OLED. Definition: a type of display that uses organic compounds that emit light. Term: PaaS. Definition: Platform as a Service, a cloud computing category designed for developing and deploying apps. Term: PAN. Definition: Personal Area Network, a network that is larger than a LAN and smaller than a WAN. Term: Partitioning. The process of creating separate portions on a hard disk. These can be assigned drive letters and can be bootable sectors. Term: Patch Panel. Definition: a box designed as a junction point for twisted pair, TP, cable, and fiber cable, used in networks. Term: Path Ping. Definition: command line command that returns latency data for the path across the network or internet. Term: Performance Monitor, perfmon.msc. Definition:
a Windows computer management node that enables the customized logging of system performance factors, including processor performance, memory transfers, and network performance.
Term: Peripheral Component Interconnect, PCI. Definition: 1. A 32-bit I/O bus that provides a shared 33 MHz or 66 MHz data path between the CPU and peripheral controllers. 2. Payment card industry, standards that protect a cardholder's data. Term: Personal license. Definition: A software license provided for a computer purchased at a retail or online store, and for downloaded or packaged apps designed for use by individuals. Term: Phishing. The process of creating bogus websites or sending fraudulent emails in an attempt to trick users into providing personal, bank, or credit card information.
Term: Pickup rollers. Definition: Printer component that picks up paper.
Term: PII. Definition: Personally identifiable information. Information such as a person's name and social security number. Term: Ping. Definition: A Windows command that sends IP packets to check network connectivity. Term: Pinwheel. Definition: A macOS spinning icon that is caused by an application failing, but that can also indicate that the system is locked up and needs a hard reboot. It is also referred to as the spinning rainbow or beach ball of death. Term: Plenum. Definition: An airspace in a building, such as HVAC ductwork or a suspended ceiling. Plenum cable, which produces very little smoke when burned, is required when a plenum is being used for cabling. Term: PoE. Definition: Power over Ethernet, a switch with added capability, a built-in end span, to send power out a port using Cat5 or better grades of twisted pair cable. Term: Pointing device. Definition: A general term for any mouse-type device. Term: POP3. Definition: Post Office Protocol version 3, an email protocol used by client computers to download or receive email. POP3 uses port 110. Term: Port. Definition: A number or range of numbers assigned to a particular connection session or connection type. Term: Port flapping. Definition: Condition that occurs when the physical port on a device turns on and off intermittently, usually very rapidly. Term: Port forwarding/mapping. Definition: A method of allowing inbound traffic on a particular TCP or UDP port or range to go to a particular IP address instead of to all devices on a network. It is used to forward external visitors through the router to a specific computer. Instead of opening up the entire LAN, port forwarding directs particular traffic where you want it to go. Term: Port replicator. Definition: A device that allows a laptop to expand the number of ports so that additional devices can be attached. Term: PostScript. Definition: A printer driver that does not depend on the printer for processing the print job, so the printing might be slower than with PCL printers. However, the advantage is that the print jobs will be consistent no matter where they are printed in the network. Term: Power surges. Definition: Over-voltage events that last no more than 50 milliseconds and that can reach voltage levels as high as 6,000 volts and 3,000 amps. Term: Power-on self-test beeps. Definition: Sounds used by many BIOS versions to indicate either fatal or serious errors. Term: Preferred roaming list, PRL. Definition: A database created by the mobile service provider that contains a priority list of radio frequencies and service provider IDs that the device needs to connect to the right tower in various geographical areas. Term: Principle of least privilege. Definition: Giving a user access to only what is required to do his or her job. Term: Print bed. Definition: With 3D printing, the platform on which the object is created. Term: Print server. Definition: A device that manages the printing tasks for multiple users who share one or more printers in an office. Term: Printer control language, PCL.
A common printer driver language used by many different printer companies that works with many different operating systems. PCL uses the printer hardware to process the print job data. This can take work off the computer and speed up the printing process. However, because the printer does the processing work, the print job output can vary, depending on the brand of printer.
Term: private cloud computing. Definition: use of a privately owned cloud that is accessible only to authorized users. Private cloud services are more secure than public cloud services. Term: product lifecycle. Definition: expected time for a product, such as a CPU, to be considered standard before it is replaced with a newer version. Term: protocol. Definition: a set of rules used to enable communication between network devices.
Term: proxy server. Definition: a server that caches internet page requests, enabling a single page to be viewed by all the devices requesting it. A proxy server reduces outbound traffic to the internet and can also be used for filtering content.
Term: proxy settings. Definition: specific settings for the types of content using a proxy server and its IP address and port numbers. Term: PSS. Definition: a Linux command used to list current processes. Term: public cloud computing. Definition: use of cloud services provided over the public internet. Term: punchdown tool. Definition: a tool that punches down the individual wires into the 110 IDC clips of an RJ45 jack and a patch panel. Term: PWD. Definition: a Linux command used to display the name of the current/working directory. Term: quad channel. Definition: a type of RAM designed to quadruple the speed of the RAM bandwidth using 2 sets of 4 sockets.
Thank you for watching. Learn more with UCertify.